And it's a good morning. Welcome to the Church of the Total Man. We're going to be studying Proverbs Chapter 2 today. So get your coffee, listen, and learn. Proverbs Chapter 2. My son, if you receive my words and treasure up my commandments with you, making your ear attentive to wisdom and inclining your heart to understanding, yes, if you call out for insight and raise your voice for understanding, if you seek it like silver and search for it like hidden treasures, then you will understand the fear of the Lord and find the knowledge of God. For the Lord gives wisdom, from his mouth come knowledge and understanding. He stores up sound wisdom for the upright. He is a shield to those who walk in integrity, guarding the paths of justice and watching over the way of his saints. Then you will understand righteousness and justice and equity, every good path, for wisdom will come into your heart, and knowledge will be pleasant to your soul. Interesting. Wisdom will come into your heart. Wisdom is basically the application of knowledge, and that's by, according to this, coming from the Lord. Wisdom comes from the Lord, knowing what to do. When you come to a fork in the road, do you go left or do you go right? When you meet two people, should you pursue something with this person or that person? Only wisdom can tell you which way to go. Without that, you're literally just spinning the roulette wheel and taking a chance. Only then will you know how to make decisions that will be good for you for the rest of your life. Because our decisions affect our direction. Every decision that we make needs wisdom. Discretion will watch over you. Understanding will guard you, delivering you from the way of evil, from men of perverted speech who forsake the paths of unrighteousness, who forsake the paths of uprightness, to walk in the ways of darkness, who rejoice in doing evil and delight in the perverseness of evil. Man, we've got some experience in that, don't we, as men? If you're like me, you've walked in the darkness. You've walked in perverseness of evil before. You have used things for unnatural purposes. You've used your bodies for unnatural purposes. You've heard me say that the highest and best use of your sexual apparatus is to make babies. God didn't have to make sex feel good. He did it as an incentive to procreate. Same thing with women. Women use their bodies for giving pleasure to a man or to attract a man, when the number one purpose is to create life. Yet, all of the parts that are used to create life have this inverted use in society. Same thing with us men. Wisdom tells us to not do that, to build something, not just enjoy. Men whose paths are crooked and who are devious in their ways. So you will be delivered from the forbidden woman. Oh boy, the forbidden woman. From the adulteress with her smooth words. You know, when you study Scripture, even if you just study history, you find that there's just a few different types of women. Virgin, married, widow, adulterer. There's no 10 years of finding yourself, going to college. With men, we grow up historically to find a woman to procreate with, to build a family, build something that will outlive us. That's what I say. Always look for a woman who wants to build. Here it's talking about a forbidden woman. What does forbidden mean? Do you ever see private property somewhere and it's marked, do not trespass, private property, forbidden, don't go there? A forbidden woman is, don't go there. An adulteress, a whore, a woman who is committed to someone else, but yet opens herself up to you. Don't go to the forbidden woman. The adulteress with her smooth words, who forsakes the companion of her youth and forgets the covenant of her God. How many women forget their covenant. How many women have done that? A lot of men have done that. But right here, the woman who forsakes the companion of her youth. Again, proving the types of women: virgin, married, widowed, adulterer, whore. That's it. There's nothing in between. Modern society, what are they calling it now? A social construct? Social constructs have made their way into faith, into Christianity. Modern Christianity is nothing like Christianity 2,000 years ago. And it's not because of technology and things have changed. It's because we have inverted morality. Right is wrong, up is down. Everything is the exact opposite. Her house sinks down to death, and her paths to the departed. None who go to her come back, nor do they regain the path of life. Life is never the same for a man after he spends time with a forbidden woman. What is a forbidden woman? A woman where you should not go. Do not trespass. Do not cross this line. Women who have been around, and I say that in quotes, been around, those are forbidden women. Women who don't commit, that's a forbidden woman. You want to look for a woman, if you're going to be looking for a woman, who wants to build. Build what? Build something that outlives both of you. So you will walk in the way of the good and keep to the path of the righteous. Sometimes the way of the good and righteous is a lonely road, isn't it? It's lonely. You feel isolated. You're alone on a Friday or Saturday night, alone on a weekend. Other people out having fun, but you're sitting at home reading, watching TV, Netflixing. It is a lonely road. It is. That's why when we talk about, you've heard me say about spinning plates, and I don't mean this to be a kind of a red pill manosphere thing, but it is Church of the Total Man. If you're going to spin plates, if you're going to entertain the company of multiple women so you don't get a type of one-itis and fixated on one woman, or as your grandfather used to say, don't put all your eggs in one basket, right? Because if you drop the basket, all the eggs break. But I have said, and you've heard me teach this for years, if you're going to spin plates, I even hate that word because it sounds degenerate. It sounds like you're just having sex with multiple women, and I'm not supporting that in any form or fashion. But to continue on that theme, if you're going to spin plates or entertain a number of women for coffee dates and walks and accompanying you somewhere, if you're gonna do that, have these little compartments. Make sure one of those compartments is you. Make sure that you are one of those plates. Make sure that you spend time with you. Don't feel ripped off if you have nothing to do on Friday night. Don't feel like you're left alone. Saturday night. Last night I went to the gym. I feel good. Worked on my body. Did something good for myself. Could have Netflixed. I think there was like 6 people in the gym. It was a great time to work out. No nonsense, no chit chat, whatever. It was great. But you have to be one of those compartments. And that could be cooking for yourself, cooking good for yourself a few times a week. You might not be able to do it every day. A lot of us live on the go, grab and go meals. I'm talking about spending some time making some nice food for yourself. I said this past week that food made with love always tastes better. Imagine when you make food for yourself, with love for yourself, and care for yourself. Think how good that's going to be. You need to be, not to bring up red pill thoughts here. That's not what I'm interested in doing. You've heard the phrase, be your own mental point of origin. You've heard that. You've heard things like, honey, I love you, but I love me that much more. You know, you've been taught that stuff if you've followed me and if you've been in the red-pilled community at all. I'm throwing out the manosphere, but I embrace some of the red pill truths, which are really proverbial. And when I say proverbial, from the book of Proverbs. So you'll walk in the way of the good, keep to the path of the righteous, for the upright will inhabit the land. And those with integrity will remain in it, but the wicked will be cut off from the land, and the treacherous will be rooted out of it. How interesting this entire thing, this entire chapter, Proverbs chapter 2, funnels to one thing. First, it starts talking about wisdom, getting wisdom. Last week, where did that wisdom come from? Your parents, from God, from older people, from the intellectual capital of older relatives. Wisdom, you bind it around your neck, you wear it like a necklace. Now it's giving us application. What do we use that wisdom for? The author of this wastes no time and says, the forbidden woman. Everything funnels to the forbidden woman. That is what wisdom is for. Think about some of the troubled times in your life. Think about times when you've cried. Think about times when you were heartbroken. Think about times when you were frustrated. Think about times when you might have prayed, talked to God, felt bad about being alone. It was always regarding a woman. You think about women. That's not a bad thing. We are created to be like that. God said it's not good that man is alone. So it's natural. You know how like your phone searches for a Wi-Fi signal wherever it goes? Whether it be a library or a restaurant or you're at the gym, you just hit scan and then it kind of scans for Wi-Fi signals. That's the way we are with women. We're just always scanning. Always. And then we find a woman or attract a woman and we look at the qualifications. We look at the things that we desire and we see if they match. And then we make a move and maybe get close to that person and maybe want to build something. Try telling a woman you want to build something today. Looking for a woman who wants to build. How's that for a online dating site profile? Headline, looking for a woman that wants to build. It's almost impossible, isn't it? There's a lot of women who want to play. There's a lot of women who want to be girlfriends but be treated like wives. But we are wired naturally to be looking for women. Naturally. Even our bodies, the scents that we emit as men are meant to attract women. And I'm not saying our world revolves around women. I am not going there. But do not feel bad about your biology. Enough already with this shaming nonsense. It's okay to have desire. It's what you do with that desire that makes all the difference. But all the wisdom that we're talking about, all the wisdom mentioned in chapter 1, leads to this. It just leads to it. So you will be delivered from the forbidden woman with her smooth words. I talked yesterday on the Daybreak Show about predatorial women. And I know I have been at the receiving end of a lot of predatorial women. And some play the long game. Some of you have experienced that. Married, engaged, long-term relationships. And the long game ended up leaving you hurt, bitter, cynical. Why? Because you thought that you had somebody who wasn't going to leave. She had smooth words. Smooth words. She forgets the covenant of her God. There is no difference between the traditional conservative Christian woman and the non-traditional, non-Christian, non-conservative woman. There is no difference. When I look at this, I don't see any difference between them, except at the end of this book of Proverbs in chapter 31, when it talks about the one type of woman who is very rare. And we're going to get to that eventually. If you want to read ahead, just read Proverbs chapter 31. Just do yourself a favor and do that. But we're in chapter 2 right now. She's rare. It says, a virtuous woman who can find. That's like the syntax, the order of words sounds odd, right? It really, to put it in modern English, is who can find a virtuous woman? Where is she? She's rare. For her price is far above rubies. She is rare, which means you have to look for her. Put yourself in places where there are virtuous women. And it says that the men at the gates, the place where men gather, they talk about her. It's like when I said earlier in the week when a guy pulls you aside and says, you sure are a lucky guy. Wow. And your attitude is, yeah, God has blessed me with a wonderful wife. Not a girlfriend, a wife. And then this guy hypothetically says, many women have done excellently, but you, my dear, surpass them all. What a contrast, the smooth-talking woman and the woman who surpasses them all. But we get sucked into this one here. This is the one that gets us. Wisdom keeps us from being manipulated, not only by smooth words, but by curvy bodies, sexuality, the possibility of sex, beauty, which we're all suckers for, right? Every man loves youthful beauty, and women do whatever they can to keep that youthful beauty, whether it be cosmetic surgery, Botox and fillers and all kinds of lotions and potions for their face and their bodies. People work out to look good, but not to live long. I saw some girls in the gym just doing booty exercises, not even a full body workout. I'm sitting there in the pec deck like that. And over here is the Smith machine, a row of Smith machines. And I'm looking at these girls only doing booty exercises. That is it. And even those exercises are kind of seductive looking. So I'm just kind of like looking away as I'm doing my exercises. They're doing it to look good, to attract men, not to live long, not to be healthy. Smooth, curvy bodies are the same as smooth words. Walk in the way of the good and keep to the paths of the righteous. Are you a good man? Do you do good things? What makes you a good man? Is it a notch count? What makes you a good man? Is it charitable acts? I've heard people say charity begins at home. If you can't love the one or the ones closest to you, don't even think of going outside that circle and thinking you're going to be able to love anyone. You need to love the ones that are closest to you first. If you fail that test, you're done. Anything that you try to love outside the ones that are closest to you, you will always fail. And who are the ones that are closest to you? Many times they're unlovable. Many times they're too familiar. Familiarity breeds contempt. Love the people that are closest to you. Only then will you be able to love anyone outside of those that are closest to you. Thanks for tuning in today. Next week, Proverbs Chapter 3.